SKOL, welcome back to SKOL News, everybody. I'm Jay, and let's talk about a little Minnesota Vikings football. So, we are just coming off the Bills game, one of the most exciting games of the weekend. I don't know if my heart can take it anymore. That was a rough game to watch. Jason Garrett called them the cardiac kids. I'm with that. They are definitely the cardiac kids. They made a statement in Buffalo. Um, the Bills came out. They were playing tough. You had to play against the Bills Mafia. And at times it felt like the Vikings were playing against the refs also. So that was a crazy game. But let's talk about a little bit about what happened in that game. So, in Vikings fashion, they come down, score a touchdown, get behind, down 17 points with like a minute and 50 left in the third quarter. Delvin Cook breaks off an 81-yard run to spark the Vikings comeback. Delvin Cook is a monster. That's why we kept feeding him the ball. I know they didn't run the ball as much as they should have against Buffalo, but this Vikings team just finds a way to win games. So let's talk a little bit about Cook. 14 carries for 119 yards. He didn't get it going until the third quarter, but he had some really big runs, some really big first downs, so making the second and short, third and short, making it very manageable for the offense. But man, let's talk some JJ, Justin Jefferson. 10 receptions, 193 yards, and that catch on 4th and 18. Is there any argument that Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in football? I think we put that argument to bed. Chase is a monster. Devontae's a monster. Tyreek Hill's a monster. But JJ is the best wide receiver in the NFL, hands down. Chalk it up. We can stop with that argument now. I've seen it online for the last year and a half. It's done. It's proven. The first guy in NFL history with 20 100-yard games in his first 3 years. He has the most 150-yard games in the first 3 years of any receiver in NFL history. Argument is over. Chalk it up. Pay that man a boatload of money at the end of the year. JJ is the best receiver in the NFL. And as we're talking about big plays, y'all see Kirk Cousins take off for like 16 yards? What a run that was. Cousins had 2 interceptions. One of them where it was like, what the fuck was that? Who was he throwing to? But it never phased him. He shook it off. He came back in. He played like an assassin. He threw some lasers. His accuracy and his way and his ability to get through progressions is what makes Kirk Cousins a dangerous quarterback. I know people like to disrespect Kirk. Let's keep it real. From now on, that's first Cousins. That's our guy, Kirk Thuggins. Put the chains back on, even though we saw Patrick P with those chains on this week. The Vikings are for real. This statement game for them. It was good for them that Josh Allen played because you're going to hear, oh, but he didn't play against Josh Allen. They played a backup quarterback. Are they for real? The Vikings are for real, and I know it's hard for people to wrap their heads around right now in the NFL. Chalk it up. They are the second best team in the NFL power rankings in my book right now behind the Eagles. And we played them in week 2. Who knows what would happen? You play them later on. But the Eagles are for real. But the Vikings balled out. I do want to talk a little bit about the refs. So they call up pass interference on TJ Hawkinson and OPI in the end zone. But the next drive down there, Hawkinson's get grabbed by the shoulder and pulled down on a ball he's jumping up to get. No flag. Same thing happens with Justin Jefferson. He's jumping up for the ball. They pull him down. No flag. Gabe Davis, no catch. It's under 2 minutes. There's no review. This game shouldn't even have went to overtime. They give him that reception, and if Kevin O'Connell throws a challenge flag, it's a penalty. It's a penalty. But yet, New York can't get it right and review that play, and then they come back afterwards and go, oh, yeah, we would have reviewed it. It would have been overturned. That's 2 weeks in a row the Vikings have been playing against the refs and still figured out how to win. And I am not saying that they're rigging games against the Vikings. I am just saying there's been some really bad missed calls or ref fuck-ups during these games, and the NFL needs to get it right. This is not acceptable. This is the NFL. This is pro football. It affects gambling. It affects teams' records. It affects playoff seeding. It affects everything. The one thing we want from the refs, and that's it, is just to get it right. We don't care how you get there. We just want you to get it right. There was bad officiating in other games. We'll talk about that in our Thursday pregame show. But I am so excited. The Minnesota Vikings knocked a couple years off my life on that 4th and 18. I don't know if you guys are as psycho as I am when it comes to watching games. I pace for like 3 hours. I was screaming at the TV, just throw it to JJ. They just threw it to JJ, and good things happen. Also, so let's talk about the end of the regulation in this game. So I don't give a shit what anybody says. I've watched it 20 times. Kirk Cousins got in on that quarterback sneak, and they said he didn't. I knew there was no way they were going to overturn it with the way that pile was piled up in the view. So the Vikings get stuck on that one. Karma comes around. The very next play, fumble in the end zone. Eric Kendricks, Johnny on the spot, touchdown. Let's go. Great teams also create luck. I know people are saying it's lucky, certain things that happen. And why is it always the good teams that get the luckiest? Because great things happen to teams who hustle, who get around the ball, tip balls when they crash. Everybody's running towards the ball. The Vikings did not take that play off. They were like, we still have a chance. Let's get this safety. Let's get the ball back. 47 seconds left and a timeout if we get this safety, just to get in field goal range to win the game. So that defense came out, did exactly what they needed to do, and got the Vikings that touchdown. Greg Joseph, they should have made him walk home from Buffalo after missing that extra point. You cannot miss that. And this is a guy who hasn't missed from under 50 this year in a field goal, but extra points seem to be real difficult. So the kicking problems for the Vikings still continue. But I want to end this show with talking about a little bit of something that happened in the media. So we have Mike Florio versus Mike Zimmer, and some text messages that came to light that Florio decided to bring up of an exchange between him and Mike Zimmer about how Mike Zimmer believes Florio is a big reason on why he got fired. I'm going to say, Florio was calling for Zimmer's job, but I don't think owners are really swayed by TV talking heads, and I don't think Florio had much to do with Zimmer getting fired. I think it had to do with underachieving, that him and Spielman couldn't get along. They weren't talking anymore. I think that had more to do with it than anything. It seemed to be a toxic locker room. Players are now talking about how it's better to be coached not on a fear-based coaching, which was Zimmer's old school way, run the ball, play defense, when we got receivers for days. So there was a lot of problems there. And I'm not even saying that Mike Florio was wrong for calling out Mike Zimmer, but I do believe Mike Florio was 100% wrong in this. And in my opinion, it makes him kind of a scumbag. So you decide to bring this up in a podcast right after Adam Zimmer passes away. So the Zimmers are going through one of the worst times they could go through, losing a son, a brother, a family member, somebody they care about. And now Mike Florio thinks it's a good time to bring up a text conversations he had with Mike Zimmer that nobody knew about, that was private. And I believe he violated certain codes, unwritten rules. So guys like Peter King or different guys who talk to a lot of NFL players, they hear, and coaches and things, they hear a lot of things they never report because it wasn't meant to be reported. It was either a discussion, it was off the record, or they go, hey, I'm going to bring this up. Are you cool with that? This was a private conversation between Florio and Zimmer by text message. One, I think it should have probably stayed private, but even if it didn't, Florio was a scumbag for bringing it up when he did, because Zimmer's name's back in the news. He saw an opportunity to get more eyes on him by bringing it up while the Zimmers are going through a horrible time in their life. And to me, that makes Mike Florio a complete scumbag. That's my opinion. My opinion is that makes him a complete scumbag to take advantage of a situation with a family who's dealing with a tragedy in their family right now, a huge loss. And Florio used it for a way to get views and get clicks. And that really bothers me. And even as a content creator, I would never drag somebody's personal tragedy into a show just to get views. I wouldn't do it. I don't have the same opportunities Florio does. That's not what I'm saying. He's an insider. He knows things. I just feel like we all know that this was a view grab. All he wanted was clicks and views and drag Mike Zimmer through the mud. Well, Mike Zimmer's family was going through the loss of his son. I really, if you can't tell, it sits bad with me. I really don't like how that feels thinking about it. And I was never a huge fan of Florio anyway, because I feel like he's a very fake Minnesota Vikings fan. But I do turn to Florio when it comes to anything legal that's going on, because he was an attorney and he can walk you through the legal aspects of things going on. But the little respect I had for Florio is now gone. Also, before I get out of here, Sam Munson, PFF, graded the Hawkinson trade a push, said nobody won. Really? Really? Another 7 catches in his second game? The Vikings won this trade hands down. They are building confidence that you only get from winning games close. I love the resilience and the resolve that the Vikings are building, but I don't know if my heart can take any more of these close games. Can we just win 1 or 2 of them by double digits? 17 points? Can I get a halftime 17-point halftime lead, 21 halftime lead from the Vikings? Just wondering, always coming from behind. This is pretty crazy, but everybody in SKOL Nation has to be excited as hell today. Things are looking up, and we're back home for a 3-game stretch. So that means the Vikings do not have to travel for a month. I know they have the Cowboys, tough game, short week against the Patriots. Bill Belichick is not a dummy. That's going to be a tough game. And I know people are like, well, then it's the Jets. The Jets are playing tough right now and really good football. The Vikings have a really rough 3-game stretch, so let's see how this goes. But SKOL Nation has to be excited, and I can't wait for the rest of this season. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think about Florio and Zimmer, too. That's the one. I really want to know your opinion about Florio and Zimmer, so put that in the comments. Make sure you check out all the other shows on Yankee and the Brit if you like basketball. We got Well Beyond the Arc. Montana and Manoli are killing it. Great show. If you're a fan of any combat sports, live every Tuesday at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern, MMA Underground, hosted by Sam K and Buddy V. This week they got a monster from Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, BKFC. Go check that out. Got a couple other guests in the line for the weeks coming forward that are going to be really good. It's exciting. There's a lot of things popping off. Don't miss Real Talk with Jay every Friday. Great interviews, great conversations. And don't miss me and Maddie on our Thursday night and Sunday pregame shows for the NFL. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Again, drop your comments below. Please hit that like and subscribe. One world, one love. Deuces.